Hey, and before you go comment in a comment section about how much of a meme is Vetements, let me just quickly tell you something. You probably just don't get it. Hey, welcome back to my channel, and if you're already here, don't forget to click the subscribe button and give this video a like. And today we're going to be talking with you about Vetements. Yes, I know. Vetements has been a meme subject since probably its first collection, but today we're going to go through some very important references that you probably, as Western person, if you want that in English, I don't know, I'm just being ignorant right now, but some reference that you may not get. And before we dive into the video, let me give you some quick background about the brand. So it was founded in 2014 by two brothers, Demna and Guram Gvasalia, who are Georgian. And as the name of this channel may imply, I also come from the Eastern Europe. I am Ukrainian, and very unfortunately both of our countries have been strongly influenced by the Soviet Union. Both of them were occupied by Soviet Union for a pretty long time and have some clashes with very unfortunate neighbor of Russia, but we'll get back to that a bit later in the video. In 2014, as I remember, there was a massive spark of post-Soviet culture and post-Soviet references in fashion, brought mainly by Gosha Rubchinsky, Sputnik, and of course Vetements. So basically all the post-Soviet countries are truly different in their mentality and stuff, but they do have quite a lot in common. For example, religion, culture, just pop culture of 90s and 80s, and just USSR pop culture in general, which Demna is always referencing in his work, either in Vetements or Balenciaga. Most of the things that he is referencing are very clear for the person who comes from Eastern Europe. Alright, I know that there are a lot of memes surrounding Vetements, mostly because their designs are not particularly revolutionary, but the main treasure of the designs is the political message he is trying to transmit. Honestly, I do really like when fashion really brings up politics, because basically fashion is art and art imitates life, and life is politics in one sense or another, you know what I mean? So making a statement, a political statement with your art is quite an important thing to do if you want to change our world for better, or let everyone know about the struggles that this country or another was going through. And that's basically what Demna is doing. Part of the genius of Demna Gvasalia is taking pop culture and refining it to high fashion. That's basically what Andy Warhol was doing. He just took pop culture and turned it into art. Demna exploits the post-Soviet culture that is shared by most of the Eastern European post-Soviet countries, but he is very open in his critiques of Russia and Russian government. And if you haven't heard about it, Demna is coming from Abkhazia, which is the region occupied by Russia, basically in 1992, when Georgia proclaimed its independence. Russia decided to occupy Abkhazia. In 2014, Russia also annexed a part of Ukraine and started war on the east of Ukraine, so both of our countries had pretty bad relationship with Russia ever since, and therefore I definitely agree with the message that Demna is trying to transmit, and we'll get into it just in a couple seconds. Now, I suggest we take a look at the Spring 2019 menswear fashion runway and discuss some of the references that he is trying to tell us. The whole collection was a reference to the Soviet times and violence of Russian soldiers during the war in Abkhazia, staged on a runway which was a white table, hello from Margiela, set up like a wedding reception under a bridge over the area of Paris where migrants displaced by so many conflicts in the Middle East and Africa live in encampments along the road. Okay, so today we're not gonna talk about Margiela references because obviously Demna studied in Antwerp, and I think most people who study in Antwerp in one way or another are influenced by Antwerp 6 or by Margiela, but we're going to concentrate only on cultural references to post-Soviet times that he is making. So let's take a look at the first feat. The whole feat is a reference to Soviet and post-Soviet prisoners' culture called Auye, which is basically translating as criminal codex is the one. Also, I gotta tell that I really love how he casts the models, because now you can see a perfect example of Russian prisoner, almost bald or shortly, or guy with a short haircut, bare-chested with tattoos all over his body, trousers and narrowed shoes. So the prisoner's culture in general is very weird. I don't think if that exists in any other country, but it is pretty a big one, because in Soviet times, if person would go to prison, that would mean the end of his life. He will never be a member of society as he used to be, and usually people who committed one crime would commit another one because they don't have any other way to earn money, and they'll just end up living in prison forever or living in this criminal world. So the interesting fact about it that there are like castes or levels, like classes, more like classes. So it depends on many factors. For example, what is the crime that you committed? Have you ever had reoccurring crimes? For how long you've been sentenced? All this stuff. So, for example, if a person committed a big theft, he would be somewhere on the top of the list. If he committed murder or something like that, like really respectable kind of murder of a gang member or something like that, that would be on the top, whereas people who committed sexual crimes like rape and harassment, they would be on the bottom. So basically, when we look at the body of this guy, it is an open book and body of every prisoner pretty much is an open book where you can read his story, and every single tattoo has a meaning. Main thing is that despite all the crimes they commit, prisoners are pretty religious, very religious. So on his chest you can see the domes, which mean the number of years he spent in a prison. Domes are very important symbol in prisoners' culture. There is even a very popular song about that. But yeah, it's just iconic. The most iconic prisoner's tattoo you can get. After that, you can see Virgin Mary. This has a couple of meanings. Either the person stepped on the criminal path when he was very young, or he is seeking protection from God, which actually that can be both. But yeah, that's very strange how prisoners are probably the most religious people in the Eastern Europe. Also, you can see a knife going through the neck, which basically means that he killed someone by stabbing. I think that's very clear reference. What is interesting are those two stars under his collarbones, which means that he's thief-in-law. Thief-in-laws are basically the highest class of prisoners. They're very respectable and have authority in criminal world. Now, snake on his arm means wisdom, spider net on his elbow means loyalty to the principles of the criminal world and lack of desire to change anything. Also, there is a quality standard sign of USSR, which is also very iconic. Below the domes, you can see encryption, which says Vetements. Moving to the belt, you can see Bolnisi cross, which is a symbol of Georgia. Then you can see straight fitting black trousers and pointed leather shoes. So that's an iconic look. I would say that those straight fitting trousers, either jeans and leather pointed shoes. That would be iconic look for every single person in the 90s. That was just general fashion in those times. Look number 2 is a girl who basically is wearing Soviet school dress but without the front apron, and it looks quite edgy. So I guess it's the reference to like punk edgy kids in Soviet era. Also there is a pendant with Georgian cross. Okay, here I really like this look because there is a white shirt saying on a different languages happy birthday. That's basically what we would do in school when someone had birthday, so we would just write it with our very weird handwritings and wish them happy birthday. Also, if you look at the bottoms, they're checkered shorts, which are basically checkered boxers, which also were very popular in the Soviet times with more older people, I would say, but I think like most of people, but it's underwear, it's not something you would wear to go outside. But all of this look gives me such a Soviet dad getting ready for war kind of vibe. I don't know, that looks fun. Look number 6 is a proper depiction of Soviet and post-Soviet skinhead, which is just like a tough punk dude, and you can see here Bonisi crosses and ripped jeans. Yeah, that's just basically how militia punk kind of skinhead would look in the Eastern Europe. Then we have look 13 with the iconic saying fuck you in Russian. So that's why I say that it's iconic, because if you go to Eastern Europe, on every single wall, no matter where, you would see swearing written there, something like fuck you, fuck yourself, stuff like that. That's why and usually there would be like graffiti, but like terrible, just terrible graffiti swearing. So yeah, that's also pretty interesting one. Again, that's what I was saying in the very beginning, that he is exploiting pop culture, which just makes it feel so dear to the heart, you know what I mean? Then we also have a techno guy, and everywhere, I think in Europe in 90s, 80s, 90s, techno became such a massive culture. It is still very big around the world, but especially it was an iconic time in Soviet Union when all the young kids would wear bright clothes and narrow shades and just go party all night. And here we come to the legend. The guy that you can see here on the shirt is Viktor Tsoi. He was one of the most famous musicians of that time. That's a whole culture around him. He was very grunge, basically Kurt Cobain of Soviet Union. He also died either by suicide, committing suicide, or overdosing. Honestly, I don't remember. I'm not gonna tell you for sure, but definitely Google. Also, the whole picture itself is basically like a concert poster for him. And in Soviet era, every teenager's room would be just full of posters of bands and famous people, and I think that would be like every single teenager's room around the world. But yeah, that's quite a nostalgic time. Even I had a couple of them. And as we already told in the beginning of this video, the whole collection is not only wrapped around Soviet times, but it is also a reference to the Georgian-Russian War in 1992-1993. And in this look, you can see that he has a bullet on his chain, and also he has calibers of bullets written on the shirt. Also in this collection we have plenty of military or really creepy looks with balaclavas on that refer to the times of war, and that's a problem that we had even in Ukraine with Russian soldiers, because they are hiding that they are Russian soldiers. We call them basically green man, like aliens, you know, because they hide their face but they wear green tactic wear and you just cannot recognize them, and they create chaos everywhere around them and basically terrorize people. Again, we have here fuck you shirt, I believe that is t-shirt, underneath the military suit, which basically says fuck you Russia, fuck you soldiers, go home. Okay, and look 18, there are a couple of similar looks further. That's what Demna Gvasalia called the war. Also, a recurring theme in the collection is bullet aim, where you shoot, because what he told in his interview that all of them in Georgia are bullet aims for Russian soldiers, and he used to have this aim on his chest himself. Again, look 21, very militarized look, but also with a big blazer on top, which refers to the whole idea of war in general, because how Russia leads war is in the way that it comes from the top. So it's not that people decide to go and have war with other people and neighboring nations. It comes from the top. That's why a woman basically dressed as a war is wearing a blazer. Especially I like this look. It is simple, but what is important for us here is styling and those trousers. So you can see that it is mix of straight black trousers that we talked about and Adidas triple striped trousers and pointed shoes. So we already learned that pointed leather shoes were iconic footwear in the Soviet Union, but probably you've heard, if you're interested in the culture, you've heard about gopniks. So gopniks are basically like street hooligans who annoy people and beat people up occasionally. So their iconic clothes are Adidas triple striped pants, straight fit, and leather pointed shoes. And occasionally if you beat enough people and collected enough money, you can buy a leather jacket. And I absolutely love this look. So here you have a big Caucasian man, and by Caucasian I don't mean white man, I mean a man who comes from Caucasus. That's a region where Georgia is located. So there is a stereotype about them, like big Caucasian dudes. Usually they come in gangs and stuff like that. So in Soviet times, they were really dangerous ones because they would come and try to rob the places or install like regular payments, meaning like we protect you, but you pay us from your business income. If you don't pay us, we come and ruin all your business, beat you up, beat your family, and maybe kill you. So yeah, it's exactly proper reference of such what we used to call them speculants, something like that. Again, perfect model casting. On look 38, you can see babushka scarf made into trench, which I think sandy trenches were popular and are still popular all over the world. That's an iconic piece, but he just added a bit of Soviet chic to it with babushka scarf. Also, there are several looks with flag jackets. So here is Georgia, understandable reasons. Demna is from Georgia. Then look 42 is the same look but with Turkish jacket, because Turkey is the biggest neighbor of Georgia. They have very tight export-import relationships with each other. Then we have Ukraine. Why Georgia and Ukraine have such close relations? Because when Russia intervened Georgia in 1992, Ukrainian army were the ones who went to fight on the side of Georgians, and when Russia just occupied a part of Ukraine in 2014, Georgians were the ones who came fighting for Ukrainian independence. That's why two countries have very close relations, and also there are just a lot of Georgians living in Ukraine and a lot of Ukrainians living in Georgia. On this look 44, we can see a tracksuit and balaclava. 90s were pretty dark times. There were a lot of people called racketeers who, again, like those Caucasian gangs, would threaten businesses that if they don't pay them, they would destroy their business and beat them up. So that's kind of Russian racketeer uniform, usually just sportswear. The two finishing looks are groom and bride, because as we remember, there is a table, white wedding table, because as we remember, the runway is white long wedding table, which is classic wedding table for Eastern Europe when all the family comes together. And basically the looks that we've seen, some of them, you know, those weird teenage looks, or a dude with Victor Soy, those are basically members of one family that you can see on a wedding when you get all together. That's why I think it is a brilliant idea to finish all this runway show basically by saying that we are all one family. Designs of Vetements may be pretty simple and you do not expect much from them, but when you think deeply about the idea that is hidden behind the clothes, about the symbolism of it, you understand that there is a lot more to it than just clothing. It's more on the level of art and perception. I hope that I inspired you to go through Vetements runway one more time and try to find your references to it. And also I hope that you enjoyed this video. If yes, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Really enjoyed seeing you guys and hope to see you in the next video.